Greetings fellow Whovians and welcome to Timey Wimey Review. Sorry for the late posting, I was still on my honeymoon in Florida when this episode came out, which is of course the penultimate episode of season 1 of Doctor Who, The Legend of Ruby Sunday. Incidentally, I did manage to watch this episode at midnight in Florida on Friday night, which would have been about 5 a.m. UK time on Saturday morning. So that was kind of like a midnight screening, finally, for season 1 of Doctor Who. A lot to talk about here in this episode as we build up to the season finale. This was the penultimate episode, of course. Lots of big reveals. So if you like what you see and hear, please like, share and subscribe. That will really help out this channel. But this is my spoiler talk of The Legend of Ruby Sunday. Emphasis on spoilers. There will be tons of them here. You have been warned. I felt this episode had a lot to live up to, a lot riding on this. I felt, with it being Sutekh and Millie Gibson's first full season as the Doctor and Ruby Sunday. Obviously, Russell T Davies back in charge, and a lot of sort of chatter about really good episodes. Some high praises for the episode so far. Against all the sort of negativity of low ratings and oh my gosh, Doctor Who is dead and all that kind of rubbish chant that you do get, unfortunately, on social media. And we started this episode with quite a bit of filler, getting to know all the characters, the unit family, introducing obviously the return of Kate Stewart, Mel, the Doctor's former companion. We have the return of Rose Temple Noble, Donna's daughter, and introducing new characters such as the new scientific advisor for UNIT, Maurice Gibbons, played by Lenny Rush. I'll mention him a little bit later in this review. Glowing report though, spoilers. But a little bit of nitpicks with that one, where they could have, I felt, explained away where Ruth Madeley was, who was Shirley Ann Bingham, the previous scientific advisor. Apparently, Ruth was not available to film those scenes, so they kind of promoted Lenny Rush into this role. When they was trying out Lenny for the Space Babies, he was going to originally voice one of the Space Babies. I'm glad they didn't do that, because I think that would have been very much a disservice for him, and I'm glad he was in this position instead. But I wish they kind of mentioned that Ruth is probably away in Geneva, and we've got like acting scientific advisor or anything, something like that would have been, I felt would have been better, because I know Ruth is supposed to be returning later in Doctor Who for season 2, or maybe even further than that. So I wish that was kind of happened. And same with Rose Temple Noble, where the Doctor said to Rose, how's your mum, how's your uncle? I'm assuming mentioning the bi-generated Doctor, but no mention of Bernard Cribbins, no mention of Wilf. How's your great-grandfather? That could have been thrown in there, even if they explained away his death or something like that. It would have been nice to sort of mention that as well. So there was my couple of nitpicks in that introduction. So they really went all in on the mystery of Susan Twist in this episode, and could it have been the Doctor's granddaughter? And I love the scenes between Kate and the Doctor, where the Doctor was, quite scared of reuniting with her granddaughter, saying that all the travels that he has, he brings death and destruction, and I didn't want to sort of warp my granddaughter. He's happy to take all these humans and aliens as companions with him and warp their minds, but no, not flesh and blood. So I thought that was a little bit funny in that sort of sense. But yeah, it was a really good sort of heart-to-heart scene with Kate and the Doctor, and sort of building up that sort of tension of what if it is my granddaughter. And I thought Susan Twist, no, sorry, Susan Twist is the actress's name. This is where the jet lag kicks in, my fellow Whovians. What I meant to say is Susan Triad. Obviously, she's done Triad Technology, this new sort of internet technology or whatever it's supposed to do, all the kit and caboodle to make the world a better place. And yeah, I really like Susan Twist's performance performance in this episode, being this super nice lady, sort of like leading that false sense of like, oh, is she going to be evil? Who is she going to be? And I did like the scene where we saw multiple, where the Doctor was saying, "No, I've seen her throughout space and time," and we had like a Borg version of her, or like the Ice King or Queen from Game of Thrones as well. So yeah, little sort of nods and winks there. That made me chuckle. And yeah, like I said, she was great. And then yeah, we had the Doctor saying, "Ah, but look at this. She's Susan Triad, and that's an anagram of TARDIS." And all the rest of the unit was like, "Yeah, we know that. That's we figured that out ourselves." I like those little scenes here where the Doctor's really on the back foot of what is going on, and sort of quite a lot of time saying, I don't know what's going on. Stop asking me questions. I don't know. And then we have the other mystery of Ruby's mother. So they keep name dropping that a lot in this season. And we had this little moment where UNIT has revealed that they've created a time window, which kind of reminded me a little bit of, at first, Red Dwarf. I think it was the Time Slides episode, but more like the space and time visualizer that the first Doctor invented in the classic Doctor story, The Chase. I did like the sort of big reveal of the time window, and then the Doctor just laughed and thought, "Oh my god, this is just so badly crude technology, but we need that tech now, so let's go for it." And yeah, Kate Stewart mentioning that they tried it out for the Declaration of Independence with Abraham Lincoln. I'm sure that's what William Russell, Ian Chesterton said that he wanted to do. Yeah, I've just done a little bit of research, and I might be wrong, so please correct me in the comments if I am. But I think from the rough sort of history that I've done, I'm pretty sure that's what Ian Chesterton asked for in the space-time visualizer. So I find it very a little bit weird coincidence that sadly, obviously William Russell passing away, that we had this little moment here in Doctor Who, sort of very, very odd timing. But I really like this scene. This was a great Millie Gibson moment scene where she nearly got to find out who her mum was. Obviously, we had this hooded figure, and it's still a mystery. The hooded figure sort of like jumps, time jumps, not something that happened on the videotape. So we still don't get that identity, and that sadness from Ruby Sunday of not knowing who her mum is. And we'll keep that mystery in the back pocket for now. Maybe something to be revealed in the season finale next week. Who knows? But yeah, let's watch this space. Anywho, we've got more mysteries to solve. So obviously we had the death of the unit soldier in that time window scene as well. That was really well done. All sort of turning into dust. That was a great visual effect there. And with Kate Stewart asking for forensic teams and not wanting any of her soldiers to die. I thought this was Gemma Redgrave's best performance as Kate Stewart so far. Don't get me wrong, really enjoyed her in previous episodes, but this was a standout moment for me. And another standout moment as well was the Doctor with Mel, where he was starting to have a bit of a meltdown. He was banging that door, and this is what I really wanted from Ncuti Gatwa, and we're getting a lot of range from him so far in this season. And then we had another one of anger, of not being in control and unable to sort of fix things. It was coming through there, and Mel had a really good moment. Bonnie Langford had a great moment there, basically, get your act together, Doctor, you need to fix this. That was a really good heart-to-heart moment there. Also, I just wanted to talk about Lenny Rush's performance as Maurice Gibbons, the scientific advisor. A fantastic performance. Absolutely loved him. He was spot on as the scientific advisor slash boy genius as well. All the sort of the probability of a trap, 95% and rising, full on 100%, and even switched it on yet. All those little bits, it didn't play it for laughs. It just sort of naturally came funny, but was also definitely not underselling the sort of severity of the situation as well. There was some moments there that he looked shocked, he looked scared, or Again, this is something that's beyond him, and it was out of his control. So, as much as he was a boy genius, he wasn't playing like this person who 13 of an with a brain of a 30-year-old. It was a brain of a 13-year-old that just happens to be a genius. So yeah, spot on performance. But when all is said and done, what we're going to be remembering this episode for is that big reveal. Who is the mastermind behind all of this? Who is the gods that have been awoken? The one who waits. It was Sutekh, the classic Doctor Who villain Sutekh. First seen in Pyramids of Mars. I've also had some audio adventures as well from Big Finish. And yeah, it was a great reveal. I know the internet was kind of guessing it was going into that one. I didn't sort of know that much. I'd sort of heard it and being mentioned, but sort of just kept it away just to give that reveal to myself. And yeah, it was a great reveal. I know a lot of people really enjoyed the surprise, so it can be said, if you avoid all the spoilers, you can have that great moment. And yeah, it was a fantastic moment. We have Gabriel Wolf back voicing Sutekh. That is fantastic. It's something that's not been done for nearly 50 years, so that's great that they managed to get Gabriel Wolf back to provide that voice. Other Whovians might have recognised his voice in the season 2 episodes, series 2 episodes with David Tennant, The Impossible Planet and the Saturn's Pit. But yeah, great to have him back. And it could only have been him to voice Sutekh. So really looking forward to seeing more of him, or hearing more of him, I should say, in the next episode, The Empire of Death. And yeah, again, Ncuti Gatwa really sold the big sort of fear factor of this god of all gods. They really built that up. As much as it was good writing from Russell Davies, Ncuti sold it with that shock reveal of, oh my gosh, how I barely got out of it last time. That's what the feeling I got from Ncuti from this Doctor. Like, how am I gonna be able to tackle this again? Knowing what I know from Pyramids of Mars. And also we had the cliffhanger of Ruby stuck in the time window as well. It was just a really good build-up cliffhanger, which I know a lot of Whovians have been saying that, this is classic Who, this is the Doctor Who that we all know and love. And yeah, I agree. As much as I've enjoyed the sort of, I would say, experimental episodes from this season, this needed to be what Doctor Who is all about, and it definitely delivered. I think I was a little bit not underwhelmed as such, but I don't think I really appreciated this reveal when I first watched this episode. When I went and watched it again, it definitely brought the shock factor. Cliffhanger that works both ways, I feel. One is a lot of people be like, who is this god of all gods? Oh my gosh, yeah, this is a scary looking creature. And two, it sort of pays off for all the diehard Doctor Who fans from the classic era, as well as all the eras, all the Doctors from Big Finish onwards, of like, oh my gosh, we know who this is. We know how a tough mother this person is. This is a bad guy's a bad guy. So it works both ways, and especially in the UK, where we've got the Whoniverse, people can go and check out Pyramids of Mars right now. I know there's going to be a Tales of the TARDIS. That's going to be an introduction of that and an omnibus edition of that. So I'm looking forward to checking that out as well. But yeah, it definitely works on both levels. Few bits that didn't quite work for me in this episode was, as much as the build-up was brilliant, we had a little bit of clunky dialogue here and there. There was just something just not quite right, and it was poor Bonnie Langford that I noticed the dialogue the most. It wasn't her performance, I'm not going to say that at all, but there was some odd dialogue being thrown in there. So the scene with the time window, and we had her just point, the male pointing like, Doctor, look, the hooded figure is walking away. It's sort of, it just didn't feel right. There's something just off. about that line. And then we had it again later on in the episode. It was always already established that Susan Triad was going to be addressing the United Nations at 3 p.m. And then when Mel and the Doctor was going into the TV studios with that address, Mel again said, Susan will be doing the speech at 3 p.m. and we've got 10 minutes to go. Why don't you not say something along the lines of like, it's 10 to 3, she's on in 10 minutes, we know she's going on at 3 p.m. It was just a very odd piece of dialogue, and I don't know why I felt that it was odd or a little bit jarring for me, but let me know in the comments if you felt the same with some of the dialogue. And yes, again, great reveal of Sutekh, but I felt the CGI definitely was a bit of a letdown. Yes, I know it's only TV budget still, but it was just something just felt like super BBC CGI. I wish they had a bit more time doing that reveal. I mean, if they couldn't quite afford to do the CGI that they wanted, do stop motion, do a CGI that looks stop motion animation, because it looks more scarier doing that. It reminded me of there was a scene in It Chapter 2 movie with the CGI granny, and that looked proper bad CGI. If they did like some kind of cheaper looking stop motion CGI, it would have looked 10 times more scarier. The prosthetic makeup that they used for Susan Twist was way better than that CGI that we had of Sutekh. So hopefully that's something that they will fix for next episode. I'm going to give The Legend of Ruby Sunday a TARDIS rating of 7.5 out of 10. Did I enjoy this episode? Absolutely. Did I enjoy the big reveal of Sutekh returning? Definitely. But yeah, the clunky dialogue and the poor CGI in that moment. I know Doctor Who is not renowned for its special effects, but if you're going to be bringing out big toys like that, it needed to be a little bit on point on that one. That just needed a bit more time. But that aside, I was entertained. Was it my favourite cliffhanger, season finale cliffhanger? I'm going to say no. I think Stolen Earth is still uno number one in terms of that cliffhanger or big reveals like that. Also love Parting of the Ways as well with the Dalek reveal, and also I did like the Pandorica opens as well. That cliffhanger big reveal, I also loved that. So that's somewhere along the lines on there, but very much excited for next episode, The Empire Death, which I will be seeing, me and Mrs. Timey Wimey Review will be seeing on the big screen in London, Covent Garden, Odeon. So if you're around, come say hello. Very much happy to chat. Really looking forward to watching this with amongst other Whovians at midnight in the UK for the first time in this season. There's a lot to live up to in this episode. I think, is it going to be a bit too heavy? Much going on. We've got lots of mysteries. We still don't know who Mrs. Flood is. We only had a little brief moment with her, with Ruby's grandmother. So yeah, there's a lot riding on this next episode. I hope it does pay off. I really, really do. But let me know in the comments below your thoughts to The Legend of Ruby Sunday. Did you love it? Was you a little bit disappointed? Did you think it was a bit lackluster? All opinions are welcome. Let's please be kind though. But in the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please like, share and subscribe. Hit the cloister bell for more notifications. Come say hello and follow me on Facebook and X. And do check out my other fantastic Doctor Who related content on the Timey Wimey Review TikTok page. And of course, right here on the Timey Wimey Review YouTube channel. And as the good doctor once said, wrong anagram.